Since the start of your career in journalism, how has the landscape of freedom of press in Ecuador evolved over the decades, in particular with the recent influence of AI tools?
When I started as a journalist in the 1990s, Ecuador was transitioning from a history of authoritarianism to a more democratic setting. For a while, it felt like freedom was expanding. We had more independent media, vibrant debates, and growing civil society engagement. However, things shifted dramatically in the 2000s, especially during the Correa administration, when the government launched a campaign to delegitimize journalism and impose legal restrictions and institutional restrictions on the press. In the last few years, organized crime and digital threats have added new layers of danger, especially with the local journalists. And now, with the rapid emergence of AI tools, we face a double-edged sword. On one hand, AI can support investigative and work and help detect disinformation. On the other hand, it's also being used to generate fake content, deepfakes, and to manipulate narratives at the scale. So the challenge has evolved. It's not just about censorship anymore, but also about distortion and manipulation.
Have you faced threats or restrictions in your journalistic work in the Andine region? If so, have you dealt with the situation, and what kind of support have you received?
Yes, unfortunately, I have. In Ecuador, speaking true to power often comes at cost. I've experienced threats, surveillance, smear campaigns, and legal harassment, especially when reporting on corruption or abuse of power. But I've also been fortunate to count on the support of international organizations, regional networks, and brave colleagues who stand in solidarity. Through Fundamedios, the organization I lead, we create a support system to journalists at risk, offering legal aid, public advocacy, and emergency response mechanism. It's that sense of collective resistance that has helped you keep going, even in the darkest times.
What mechanisms exist in your country to protect the freedom of press and journalistic safeties?
We do have some formal mechanism, a Council of Communication, human rights institutions, and legal provisions that, in theory, should protect journalists. However, in practice, these mechanisms are often weak or politicized. What has proven more effective are independent initiatives, alert systems run by civil society, rapid response networks, and collaboration with international protection mechanisms, like those of the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. We are also pushing for the implementation of national protocols for the protection of journalists, for the government to recognize journalists as a profession at risk, especially in the current climate of organized crime and rising violence.
How do you combat disinformation in your daily work? Do you use specific tools or collaboration with fact-checking organizations?
Yes, combating disinformation is now central to our work. In 2017, we founded Ecuador Chequea, a fact-checking platform. And in 2020, we launched Ecuador Verifica, a coalition that brings together media outlets, universities, and civil society to monitor, verify, and educate. We use Crowdtangle, Google Fact-Check tools, and increasingly AI-based system to track viral content and debunk falsehoods. But beyond tools, we believe the real solution lies in digital literacy, empowering citizens to be critical thinkers and active participants in the information ecosystem.
What is Fundamedios' role in defending press freedom in Latin America, and why is the freedom essential for journalists today?
Fundamedios began in Ecuador, but over the years, we've expanded our reach through regional alliances like Voces del Sur, and by collaborating with journalists and organizations across Latin America. Our mission is to defend freedom of expression, protect journalists, and promote independent journalism as a pillar of democracy. Why is the freedom so essential today? Because in times of polarization, disinformation, and rising authoritarianism, journalists are often the last line of defense for truth and accountability. Without a free press, citizens are disempowered, corruption thrives, and democracy weakens. At Fundamedios, we work every day to prevent that from happening, not just in Ecuador, but throughout the region.
Thank you.